Right, how you doing then? Yeah. Welcome to my little blog, Tales from the Wheelhouse. Yeah, I've been living aboard my boat for 30, 33, 34, 35 years now. Although I did have a little bit of space in between, 15 years where I still had a boat, but I was living in a forest in a log cabin. Um, I'll tell you the story of the log cabin one day. Um, this is just a quick interruption. Interruption. In no. Oh, what the fuck's it called now? Um, Introduction. That's it. You'll find I have a bit of trouble with my worms every now and again. Um, yeah. Anyway, this 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 is about. It's my 65th birthday in a few weeks. Um, and I thought it's about time I should get some of this stuff, some of my memories, some of my stories, fisherman's tales, whatever you want to call them. You know, things I've seen, things I've done, people I've met. Yeah. Where do I start? My love of the sea. Hmm. I can remember fishing with my dad off of Deal Beach, pushing the boats out along the beach on greased railway sleepers, wooden open boats. I don't know. I was quite small. They seemed quite big to me, but they was probably only about 25 foot. And they used to go off launch off of Deal Beach and then retrieve back onto Deal Beach. And as a London kid, I loved it. I loved going to the sea. I loved fishing. Um, I'd always been into fishing anyway. It's what gave me a love of the countryside and everything. The last way I could hunt, really, and provide food for myself, fish. So fishing's always been quite a big thing. So yeah, that was my first introduction to boats. No, it wasn't. Tell a lie. I used to work. I used to live near Ruislip Lido, and rowing boats, beautiful wooden rowing boats, and we used to get up to all sorts of shit. We used to steal them in the night and go out and row them. Stuff like that, you know, kid stuff. So that was probably my first boating. So I was a good rower. I could row. I learned to row. I worked on the rowing boat. When I grew up a bit, I got a Saturday job working for the rowboats, and it was my job to go out and row around the Lido and find all the boats that had been dumped by whoever had rented them out and just abandoned them somewhere or sunk them or whatever. I had to go and retrieve them, and yeah, it was a good Saturday job. I liked that. I also worked on a train at Ruislip Lido as well. That was alright as well. Um, yeah, there was a fair bit of fiddling went on with that job, and I can't remember the guy's name, but he paid us well to work there. Secrets coming out. I don't know how much I should say about that really. I may come back to that at some point, but let's move on from that. Anyway, where was I? Love of the sea. So deal fishing, rowboats. Yeah, I love the sea. But I always was under this impression that you either had to be born into it as a fisherman, or you had to be really rich. And I wasn't that far wrong, but the fact of the matter is you can live on a boat and sail a boat, motor a boat, really quite cheaply on a shoestring. It is possible to do. You just need to learn how to do it. The way I learned how to do it, well, I honestly believe I spent 4 years living in a teepee in Wales, and that was hard. Just a bow saw, an axe, frying pan and a kettle, that was it. That's what my life consisted of. Wood in water and washing up, all work, all had to be done all the time. Wood was very important in the teepee. So moving from a teepee to a boat was really quite simple. In fact, I can remember sitting on the beach at Oxwich Bay on the Gower, and looking at the boats bobbing about out on the sea, and just why couldn't I do that? What's stopping me? I had all these dreams go through my head about taking a teepee off, putting the poles on my boat and stashing the canvas and sailing off to some deserted island somewhere, setting my teepee up and just living free, absolutely free. The reality of that is that living on a boat is a 24-hour-a-day requirement, and so is living in a teepee, and you can't do both, and one would suffer while you was in the other. So it never really happened like that. But I did end up buying a boat. I bought my first boat. I think I paid 300 quid for it. It was a 16-foot day sailor. And it was called, I can't remember what it was called, and we had sails for it, and we had an engine on it, 16 foot, and me and my girlfriend at the time and my daughter, my 6, 7, 8-year-old daughter, she'd been living with me in the teepee, so that was a whole different thing. Anyway, the three of us went off in this 16-foot boat, the plastic plimsoll we called it. Well, we renamed it Time Bandit because just the way we used to pull it up on the beach on the Oxwich, on the Gower, beautiful long sandy beaches. The tide went out forever, so you could pull the boat up and dry out and just be a beach bum on the beach. And then wait for the tide. So we'd be on the beach, Shelley would be off playing, and we'd just be sitting chilling on the beach, you know. And then the tide would come in. Suddenly the tide would start lapping around the boat, and suddenly we'd pack up all the stuff, get on the boat, and just be time bandits, you know, and escape back out to sea again when everybody else was thinking about going home. Time bandit, and so yeah, 16-foot plimsoll. We knew absolutely nothing, didn't have a clue. We bought the boat, we launched it, we got in it, we packed up everything we thought we'd need, and off we went out of Swansea Yacht Club and Sub-Aqua, what was it, Swansea Sub-Aqua and Yacht Club or something it was called, Swansea Marina. There are whole stories about Swansea Marina. I think I'm the only person that's ever been evicted from Swansea Marina twice, and my boat, Voyager, which was a 50-foot blue lugger, is banned forever from Swansea. But that's going to be another video, a whole video on Swansea Marina. Anyway, so out we went, out through the lock, out into Swansea Bay. Now, we really didn't have a clue, and we bumped into a few piles on the way and a bit of a dock, and we managed to get control, and off we shot out of the entrance, and suddenly we were in Swansea Bay, and we just we head west. Well, a bit south first, otherwise we would have hit the Mumbles. But we went past Mumbles, and then we headed west along the Gower Peninsula, which is a beautiful, beautiful, stunning piece of coastline. Beautiful beaches. The tide goes out forever. And we came to Oxwich, and we anchored in Oxwich. We'd never anchored before. We managed to sort it out, and we started to read books at this point, because we all realised we knew jack shit about the life aboard boats. One of the things you really, really, really need is a fast learning curve. You've got to learn fast. There's not many mistakes you can make out there. And the Bristol Channel, as most people know, has got the highest rise and fall of tide, second highest in the world or something. It goes out forever, and then when it comes in, it comes back in powerful, and you can get 6-8 knots of tide. You can't go against that. You've got to go with it. So you've got to plan everything. But anyway, we anchored in Oxwich Bay. We spent the whole of the summer there, anchored out there, and we had the time of our lives. Shelley loved it. She just lived on the beach. We went and got food occasionally. We went and got fuel, and we caught fish, and we just lived beach bums for the whole of that summer. And then there was Shelley's rescue. Yeah, well, not Shelley's rescue. Shelley rescued a load of people at Three Cliffs on the Gower. That same summer we was out there. I think we was out just getting a few fish for our tea, and we could hear somebody shouting and screaming from the cliffs. And we could see somebody waving, and it's like, something's not right. So we went over, we got the boat over, but the whole area there is really, really rocky, big rocky outcrops coming out, and by that time we'd already learned to avoid them. But these people were stuck on one of these outcrops with a sheer rock face behind them, and the tide coming in and starting to lap round their feet. And I checked the tide times, and there was still a good couple of hours of tide, so it was coming in fast, rule of 12ths and all that. So we had to make a decision. They was going to run out of water really quick, and we got the Binio colas on them, and it was a woman, a man, 2 toddlers, and a baby in a pushchair, or baby, small toddler, not walking yet, in a pushchair anyway. And suddenly it got really critical, and there was me, and there was Sean, and there was Shelley, and out of the 3 of us, because Shelley had spent the whole summer living on the beach and in the dinghy, she was the best rower. She was a better rower than me. She was only 11 at the time, 10 I think at the time, or maybe even 9, I don't know. Yeah, she was the best rower. So the decision was made, Shell, you're gonna have to grow in and get them people off of that headland. And she's like, oh fuck. Well, she didn't say fuck, which she might have done, but anyway, she wasn't over keen on it because the waves was coming in. It was a bit of a chop, not much. It wasn't horrendous, but there was a bit of a swell and a bit of a chop. And as the tide was coming in, it was sort of splashing up and going in all day. It was confused sea where they were. And it was full of rocks, and Shelley knew that, but in the fiberglass dinks, she'd probably just bounce off of them to a certain degree. It wasn't rough enough to be dangerous for her. She was also a really, really good swimmer. She'd learned to swim like a fish through that summer. So off she went, rowed in, and it was a fair way off because I couldn't get the little boat in that near to them because of the rocks. I didn't. Last thing I wanted was to put our boat in danger, so I had to stand off with that, and so I was going around in circles. I didn't want to anchor because I wanted to keep mobile, so I was just circling around the area, staying out, just coming in close every now and again as Shelley rode in, and she got the two toddlers in first, yeah, and she got them in the dinghy and she rowed them back to us on the boat. And as we came round, we grabbed her and we took the kids out and we said, right, you got to go back, Shell, to get the rest. And she's like, oh, really? I was like, well, yeah, because they're fucked, yeah. So she rowed back in again, and the woman gave her the baby and the pushchair. I don't know. Anyway, the pushchair came as well, and then she dived in. Once the baby was in the boat, she dived in and swam for it. She swam out. She tried to swim to us, and so Shelley's rowing back with the baby, and we got the baby in, and then this woman, she was so tired and so scared, and I just remember trying to lift her over the gunwales of the boat, only a little 16-foot boat, and she was not a huge woman, she was reasonably light, but I had real trouble hauling her dead weight with her wet clothes and everything over into the boat. And that's one of the things that I got from it, it's really not that easy to haul somebody out when they're soaking wet and really tired. But anyway, we got her into the boat. She was obviously, it seemed that once her kids were safe, she felt like she could go for it herself. Yeah, she could swim out. That left her husband on the rocks, and he's got the waters lapping around his knees now, you know, and he's got nowhere to go. So I said, Shell, you've got to go back in for him. And she's like, I can't do it again. She's tired. She's been rowing, I don't know, a couple of 100 yards each time to go in and go out, and it's getting quite choppy, and the waves are starting to splash over the boat a bit, you know. And I said, well, look, if you don't do it, he's not gonna make it, you know. So she got herself together, this little 9-10-year-old, and she rowed back again the third time, and she tried to get this man into the dinghy, but he'd frozen. He couldn't cope, and he ended up just hanging onto the back of the dinghy, and she rowed him with him just hanging onto the back of the dinghy, and she actually rowed him round the headland and onto the beach. Yeah, because I said there's no way we can lift him out. We was already fucked from lifting the woman out. So she actually rowed him all the way, just dragging him, hanging onto the back of the dinghy, round to where he was in shallow enough water he could walk. Yeah. So, and then we took the rest of the family round. Everybody was fine. Nothing had happened. They'd got a bit wet and they'd got very, very scared, and they was cold. We took them ashore, and by that time we didn't realise we've done all this. This has gone on for, I don't know, the time it takes to row in and out several times, so 20 minutes maybe, this whole thing's going on. And we've been so focused on those people and getting them out of there that we hadn't noticed. We looked up and the whole of the 3 cliffs is completely covered in people watching us. And there was a coast guard up there, and he was waving at us and shouting something at us, and we was totally oblivious to him because we were so focused on just getting that family off of that rock. And as we beached the boat and we put them onto the dry land, the RNLI turned up, the Mumbles lifeboat. I mean, it had come as fast as it could, but you know, whether it would have been in time, I don't know. I think they would have been all swimming, and the baby may have been in real trouble if we hadn't have done what you got to do, really. So anyway, they wanted a question. We just wanted to fuck off out of there, you know, and get like hide and just disappear off into the horizon a bit. So we sort of gave them a bit of information and just slid away and let them get on with it. And the Coast Guard was down on the beach and sorting them out and dealing with them. The family was the priority, and we just got on our boat and went. And that was it, really. And a few weeks later, I went to go and get my van. I had an old VW camper van. She did as well. Did the whole around Europe in a teepee with her. In fact, at one point we had 2 teepees on the roof, I think, and a load of food that we was taking to a dance camp. Again, that's another video for another day. Let's concentrate on this one with the rescue. Yeah, so the rescue, Shelley actually won an award for that in the end, because I went to pick up my van. I was telling you about the van. Yeah, I went to get the van, and I was driving it back, and I had to get fuel. And when I went into the petrol station, on the counters, the local newspaper, and there's this woman and 3 kids, and I thought, God, I recognise her. Where do I know her from? So I had to sort of have a read of the paper while I wasn't going to buy it, but I sort of, who's that then? I recognise her. And it was about this family that had got rescued off the beach by some unknown child in a rowing boat. And I thought, oh, that's us. So I quickly bought the paper. I never buy a paper, never. But I did buy that one, and I bought it. And it was Mystery Girl, that's it. It said Mystery Girl rescues family from rocks. So I went back because the boat was parked on the beach, and we was just had a fire on the beach and was just chilling. Or the rest of them were. I was getting the van. So when I got back and parked the van up, I came down to them and the fire's going. And I said, hey, look, Shell, look, you're famous. You're a Mystery Girl. And I showed her the article. And I said, it's up to you now. If you want to say, you're quite welcome to own up to it and own it. You know, it's a good thing you've done. And she's like, nah, I think I'd rather be a mystery, carry on being a mystery girl, really. I like it better like that, which I really, really admired in her. Fact of the matter is, my mum loved the story so much, and she ended up putting Shelley up for some award for kids' bravery or something, and she sent the story off to one of the newspapers. I can't remember which, but anyway, Shelley won the Wales version, because we was living in Wales at the time, and then she also won all of England. So she ended up going to the Royal Albert Hall, and she got a hotel for a night. She got a chauffeur-driven car to take her to Good Morning Britain to interview her, and then she went to the Albert Hall for this thing, and she got a certificate signed by Diana, off of Princess Diana. For some reason they wouldn't let me go. They banned me from going. I think it's because at the time we was getting evicted from Swansea Marina, and I was outraged because the newspapers tried to make it look like we was a rich family in our yacht on holiday, and we just happened about these people and we rescued them. But it wasn't like that, and they didn't want it to be. We were New Age travellers, and New Age travellers, you can't say anything good about them in the newspaper or the media or anything. And as I say, at the same time, we as a family, the same girl who rescued those 5 people off the cliffs, yeah, was being evicted from Swansea Marina just for being a New Age traveller, basically. So I was very vocal, and that's why they banned me from going to any of the ceremonies or anything. But that was probably good because it was Shell's day, and the fact of the matter was that she got to go and stay in a hotel in London with a bath and a swimming pool and food, all those things that living on a boat or living in a teepee, a 9-year-old just loves, real pampering. And so she got that and she did that, and yeah, I was really, really proud of her, really. Yeah, she did really well. So, anyway, I reckon that's about enough for one night, isn't it? So, if you want to hear more, Tales from the Wheelhouse, yeah? See you soon.